Hey everyone, it is Zentra. Today I am going to start reviewing the manga of Seraph at the End. Basically, Seraph at the End had a anime which I actually watched recently and I really enjoyed it so much. And the anime only had 2 seasons, unfortunately. I wish it had more than just 2 seasons. It would have been so cool to have 3 seasons or even beyond that. But unfortunately at the time they ran out of source material and they didn't make another season ever since 2015. Hopefully one day, crossing your fingers, that they would make another season sometime soon, or even just do a remake of Seraph of the End. But I decided to take this path, this journey of reading the manga, all the chapters that the mangaka has made, and I wanted to just see what happens after season 2, because season 2 made me interested of really wanted to know more about what happens in the story. Here I am talking about the chapter. So I'm going to talk about chapter 42 and beyond. I'm not gonna do chapters 1 to 41. Maybe some other time I will. I will do a quick recap of chapter 41 so that everybody just knows the context and knows what's going on for chapter 42. Let's get into this. So before diving into chapter 42, let's do a quick recap of 41. We saw the Shinoa squad regrouping after the chaos at Nagoya, all the crazy stuff that was happening from the end of season 2. Yuichiro, the main character, still struggling with the curse of his demon weapon, and also just the lingering trauma that always was brought up with losing his family, especially with Mika. And he lost Mika and his family to the vampires. But however, the tension after the whole event that happened with Nagoya, tensions of the squad have been increasing since then. The stakes feel a lot heavier as they prepare for the next phase. And chapter 41 sets a stage for the post-anime storyline, drops us right towards the aftermath. Alright, so let's begin with chapter 42, the end of Seigenim. So before we even get into this, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that I am terrible at pronouncing names. So if you hear me pronounce a name wrong, do not be surprised at all. So the chapter begins with the setting of being in Moscow, Russia, and it looks like it's a place where the vampires are controlling. And it also introduced a new progenitor, which is Waldo Giles, which means he's one of the top leading vampires of the vampire society. Later on, we see another progenitor that is introduced named Les Carr. Him and Giles are introduced talking to each other. And it seems as though in Russia and in Germany that the vampires have pretty much taken over both countries. Barely any humans left, are all livestock. However, moving forward though, we see that one of the henchmen of the progenitors says that there has to be a meeting that's happening with the other progenitors that are from Japan. And the reason why the meeting is being proposed by the other progenitors is because the humans in Japan are attacking the vampires, and it seems as though they're having trouble handling the humans in Japan. Carr and Giles are going to be in the progenitor council meeting. So the meeting takes place inside the Basilio Cathedral, where you see a captive Cruel, or Cruel is captured, which she's actually originally the third progenitor, but since the vampires deemed her as a traitor, she is no longer the third progenitor. The person, of course, one of the more popular progenitors from the series is Farad Bathory. Farad Bathory is the 7th progenitor. But Farad was at the meeting. He was very silly, joking around with the other progenitors, but the other progenitors seems to be way more serious. We also see another progenitor that was also from the anime, and his name is Crowley Osford, who is the 13th progenitor of this meeting. So to get to the point of the main meeting, the meeting was really about Farad announcing to everybody that Cruel betrayed the vampire society because she was part of the experiment of Seraph of the End, or Owari no Seraph, as they say in the Japanese version. And everybody was very surprised seeing that she was part of the experiment, since it was more of a human experiment to really gain more power, leveraging over the vampires. Moving forward with the meeting, they were actually interrupted by the humans that wanted to see what was going on. And it looks like though the two humans that were introduced into interrupting this meeting were Guren and Kurito. As you all know, that Kurito was one of the main villains that we saw from the anime, or even in chapter 41 or before, and Guren is also one of the more prominent characters of the story. And it seems as though Guren at this point, we don't know what his motives are truly, alongside with Kirito, which Kirito, we know more what he's trying to accomplish, which is basically using the Seraph's power by sacrificing certain lives to pretty much get rid of vampires. But Gurren, we have no idea. All we know at this point is that he is possessed by a demon, and the demon being his former girlfriend from before. Now we know what's going on with Gurren a little bit more, but he's still a pretty big mystery. So as Gurren and Kuruto are attacking the Japanese Vampire Society building, Farron wanted to make a deal with Giles that if he hands over Cruel, will they be able to flee Japan? And it seems as though Giles is willing to do so. Speaking of Japan, moving forward, we have Yuichiro, who is struggling to control his demon powers, and the others, such as Shinoa, Mitsuba, and Shiho, are just waiting to see if he's able to do so. Mika, up front though, is seeing if Yuichiro can control his powers, and it seems as though he's struggling a lot. And that is the end of the chapter 42. So we'll find out in the next chapter, in 43, if Yuichiro will be able to control his powers. And it seems as though he probably will, but it just gets harder and harder since he used his powers when they were at Nagoya. Other than that though, that's pretty much it for the chapter. That's chapter 42. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please click the like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I will see you in the next video talking about chapter 43.